Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Recently on the channel I did a restoration of a HeroQuest box, covering repairing blown corners and scratches and dents. One of the things I didn't talk about in that video because it wasn't relevant was reshaping a plastic insert for a board game. However, I have spoken with a few people about this recently because it has become an issue because the new edition of HeroQuest from Hasbro does have a plastic insert for holding all of the miniatures, and it holds those miniatures very tightly. And that can be a problem when you're taking the miniatures out because it can lead to damage, it can lead to snaps and twists in the plastic. It can also damage your paintwork even if you have varnished it. And while it is possible to make alternative storage solutions for the miniatures, I will show you one method later on in this video. There are also things you can do to a plastic insert to make sure it doesn't grip the miniatures so tightly. Unfortunately, I don't yet have my copy of the new edition of HeroQuest, but I am going to illustrate with this copy of FunkoVerse. And of course the quality of the plastic varies between these inserts, so this technique may not work exactly this way with the new HeroQuest insert. I won't know until I've actually seen that insert myself. But these are some general guidelines for things you can do to help. First of all, if we take a look at this insert, you can see that it is gripping the miniatures at the head and it is holding them very tightly in place indeed. A lot of manufacturers make the inserts very tight because obviously they are transporting these games and it keeps everything in place. And with these particular miniatures, I've found the best way to get them out at the moment is to push from the back, because that way I'm not picking at the miniatures themselves and I'm not putting any undue stress on them. Sally here is probably the easiest one to remove from the packaging, but even so it's not easy. There's quite a tight grip on this insert. And Jack Skellington in particular is a concern because he has a very thin neck. A lot of Funko miniatures have very thin necks, so you really don't want to be doing what I'm doing here and pulling him from the bottom because the head is being gripped very firmly in place. You're putting a lot of pressure on that neck. You're going to cause some damage. But out he pops. And here we go, I've removed everything else from the insert except for Oogie Boogie, and we're going to take him out now. And what I'm doing here is I'm pushing on the back of the insert, and if you are not going to adjust your insert and the insert does have a tight fit, that is often the best way to get your miniatures out. Push from the back of the insert, remove the insert from the box, apply the pressure to the back. That way you're not putting a lot of pressure on any particular part of the miniature. But now we've removed all the miniatures from this insert, you can see there are these little bits that stick out, and those are the bits that are gripping the miniature in place. And one of the things you can do quite often, it does depend on the insert, the plastic, where the pegs are positioned, you can simply squeeze them in. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just applying pressure to the pegs to push them so they pop inwards rather than popping outwards. And I'm going to work all the way around the insert. There's 2 pegs on the heads of these miniatures and there are 2 pegs at the bottom of each miniature. And I'm going to push them all in. And that's what we have there. It doesn't look particularly attractive, but what we have done is we have removed all of the areas that are gripping the miniatures without changing the shape of the wells at all. So the miniatures will still fit inside the wells, but they will now fit in loosely. Which shouldn't be a problem because if you're going to put a board or anything else or a lid of the box on top of that insert, the miniatures aren't going to fall out anyway. But we can see we can now pop our miniatures into the insert. They go in very easily. They just drop in without having to be pushed in. And if I lift the insert up, they should fall out. Sally's come out very easily. Oogie Boogie fell out. The other 2 haven't fallen out. There's still a little bit of grip there. But if I just grab Jack there, he just pulls out very easily. And Dr. Finkelstein as well. Now, depending on the plastic, this insert is very, very thick and it was quite difficult to push the bits in. Sometimes the plastic is very thin and pushing on it may cause cracking. So another thing you can do is you can apply some gentle heat with a hairdryer when you are pushing the pegs in. You want to be careful with this. You don't want to overheat the whole tray. You don't want to adjust the shape of the wells. You just want to apply a little bit of heat as you are pushing in the pegs just to help them pop in easily. And if that fails, another thing you can do is just use a very sharp craft knife and slice the pegs off. But if you're looking for an alternative storage solution altogether, I am using magnetized crates these days for a lot of my miniatures. Obviously things like my copy of HeroQuest, I have a Felder insert so the miniatures are all there, but in a lot of cases I'm using these crates. This is a really useful box company crate. It's a really heavy duty plastic, it has a 4 litre capacity. I've glued an A4 sheet of rubber sheet metal in the bottom and then an extra little strip just to fill up the gap. And then every time I've painted the miniature, I apply a little magnet, a rare earth magnet with some glue to the bottom of the base, sometimes more than one if it's a really heavy metal miniature, and then those will just sit in the crate, and you can tip the crate up and move it about very, very easily, and everything stays in place. No risk of damaging your paint or putting any undue stress on the miniatures. And these 4-litre crates, I can stack these 3 high and 3 abreast on my bookshelf, which is perfect. It means I have easy access to these miniatures when I play miniatures agnostic games, and I have everything safe and secure where I need it. As I mentioned, I am using a Felder insert for my original copy of HeroQuest. I will show that in another video, but that is it from me for now. Sorry this isn't the most interesting video I've ever made, but hopefully it will be useful to some people. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so, and hopefully I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.